A portion of this video is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. For more information about Sheath, visit the link in the description below or wait till the end of this video to hear more about them from me.
We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out.
Hey, let me start with this. With all of the attacks on independent media, with all of the attacks on traditional mainstream media, the firing of Colbert, the temporary suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, we're trying to do our best to reach as many people as possible in these tenuous times. And you can help by subscribing to this show. Click the join button below the video on YouTube. You can like and follow the page on Facebook and share those videos natively. I would appreciate your help very much. Yesterday, I talked about Donald Trump's speech at the Pentagon to the top-ranking officials, military members, active duty leaders on both the officer side and enlisted side of that coin. And I talked about Donald Trump's low-energy nature and how he was rambling and didn't really seem to have it together. And then when I had time to watch the entire thing, the speech in its unfettered idiocy, there's another thing I want to talk about, and it's dangerous, that Donald Trump effectively declared war on the United States of America herself, on individual cities that are run by Democrats. This Republican president sending what he thinks to be red troops to blue cities to wage war. And he uses the words, it's a war from within. He's telling his generals, his war fighters, that he wants to attack American cities using active duty troops. It's not hyperbole. It is absolutely what he said. But before I get to that, I want to play two clips for you. Maybe we'll mash them together. I'll watch them and see as we go here. But I want to paint a picture for you for what the mission of war fighters is. I served in the United States Marine Corps for many years on active duty as an enlisted Marine. So I know what the language that's used is when talking about war fighting. There's all the buzzwords that's used about maximum violence and maximum lethality and intimidation and awe, force, imposing our will through aggressive action. All of these things are talked about. Because that's the definition of a war fighter. That's the definition of the mission of the United States Marine Corps, for instance. I don't know much about the Army or the Air Force or the Navy, but certainly the military, that's the objective. It's to fight our enemy, to send rounds down range, to neutralize the enemy. And Pete Hegseth laid this out. So the reason I want to do this is because I want to just cement what it is that the military is being trained to do, what they should be trained to do, what their mission is, what their job is. And that Donald Trump thinks that job, that skill set should be brought to bear against American citizens in American cities. Here's Pete Hegseth. Let's start with him. With a message to our enemies, using a phrase that's been around for a long time that was more popularized by the Proud Boys. Fuck around and find out. F-A-F-O.
It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose or any war that is thrust upon us. Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O.
We'll set aside the F-A-F-O nonsense like he's a fraternity douche, but listen to the words. Should our enemies choose foolishly to challenge us, they will be crushed by the violence, precision, and ferocity of the War Department of the United States military. This is language that I heard growing up in the Marine Corps all the time. It wasn't the first time he talked this way, though. I really want to drive this home that this is what the military should be used for, not policing, because that's not what they're trained in. That's not what their job is. Here he is again explaining more extensively while setting the stage for war crimes, talking about stupid rules of engagement. But here he is talking about the lethality of the military once again.
We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters.
Again, you heard it. Overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. Yeah, you do. You fight with rules of engagement. That's how it works, Pete. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. Maximum lethality and authority for our warfighters. This is what the military is about. And a lot of people who haven't ever served in the military or served in a forward operating area and don't understand, this sounds unhinged. Maybe so, but we need it. You do need a lethal military. If you're going to have a military, it better be lethal. They better be trained to deliver violence. They better be trained to win a war, to face down the worst of the worst. You would presume that our enemies would be the worst of the worst. You would hope that we are not the worst of the worst and being looked upon as that on a global stage. It's increasingly becoming more apparent that that is what's happening. But Donald Trump took the stage before these generals, before these top enlisted officials, and wanted to enlist them into a war against their fellow citizens. Keeping in mind everything that Pete Heggs has said, here's Donald Trump talking about using the military, using cities in the United States military as a training ground for war fighters.
Very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made. But he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any.
What kind of training would war fighters be getting in Chicago or LA? Or Washington, D.C. What kind of training? Because they're not training to be police because they're war fighters. Remember? Maximum lethality. The training would be to fight the war from within. That's what Donald Trump wants. That is what he is prepping his generals for. And that is what he's explicitly calling for in this clip.
The ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security.
There is no war. There are political divisions. There are differences of opinion. Some people believe white supremacy is the order that should be enshrined under color of law, those in the Republican Party. And then there's another faction of people who talk about politics, who think about politics, who believe that is absolutely antithetical to the Constitution that Donald Trump swore an oath to, that the entire room filling the audience there swore an oath to. A sacred vow to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. A Constitution which contains protections of equality under the law, equal protection under the law. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or abridging the freedom of speech or your freedom to assemble, to protest your government for redress of grievances. This is something that all of the members of that audience and Donald Trump himself twice has sworn oath to. Pete Hegseth himself has sworn oath to it. Donald Trump went on and he starts talking about America is being invaded. We are under invasion, but it's an invasion from within. And even makes a remark about, well, at least when you're in real war, I don't know how we'll see how exactly he phrases it. I could read it, I guess. That it's more difficult in many ways to be at war with a city in the United States because they don't wear uniforms. And at least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. You can kill them. That's where his head's at. That is where he's trying to shift the Overton window to in the minds of these generals, these command sergeants major in the audience. Again, not exaggerating. I'm just reporting what Donald Trump is saying.
That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
Donald Trump is declaring war on blue cities. He's not declaring war on Dallas, Texas, or San Diego, California. He's declaring war on blue cities, Democratic-run cities in Democratic-run states. He wants to compel, as Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces, our troops who have sworn an oath to this Constitution to go in and hopefully take them out, the enemy from within. As he sends his masked secret police Gestapo force to disappear people off the streets of America without due process. Again, violating his oath to the Constitution, which protects the right to due process. I would love to know what you think about this. Let's talk about it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Not a lot of solutions here. Sometimes giving people the truth and understanding of what is taking place is enough. I wish I had easy solutions, but I do not. I will see you next time. I love and appreciate you very much. Be genuine and take care of one another. It is absolutely difficult to keep a cool head in this political climate, especially with the added aggravation of these overheated outdoor temperatures. How can you be expected to conduct any clear-headed discourse with your drawers in a sweaty soup? My go-to for keeping things cool, sheath underwear. I'm wearing a pair right now, and let me tell you, it's like nighttime in the desert down there, all day long. Head to sheath.com and use promo code Dollemore to score 20% off and upgrade yourself to the most comfortable underwear that you'll ever wear. How do they differ from your average boxers? Well, let me tell you. Invented by a U.S. Army veteran while serving a tour in Iraq, Sheath's boxer fabric is designed with a moisture-wicking technology. Their underwear features a unique dual pouch system that keeps all your man parts comfortably separated instead of sticking together. We all know the feeling of the old eggs getting stuck to the pan, if you know what I mean. My favorites are the airflow meshes, which seem especially equipped to handle my thighs. They're bigger, bigger thighs. But Sheath has also tons of other fabric options and designs that you can get into. And I'm clearly not the only one singing the praises out there. Sheath are recommended by multiple doctors and urologists and have over 20,000 5-star reviews. Also, Sheath supports multiple charities like Socks for Soldiers and Doctors Without Borders. So while you're upgrading your undies, you can be making the world a more upstanding place too. It's tough to focus on draining the swamp when you are swampy mess yourself. Sheath's boxers will help you keep the temperature down by bringing up the level of comfortability. Score 20% off right now at sheath.com and use promo code Dollemore.